tale as old as time, once again brought back by PS4.
The latest in the bring an old franchise back from the dead, literally.
Though unlike his more successful brethren, this is actually this franchise's second chance at redoing the first game.
Fair.
You know, that's a good point. Like, have you, not counting MediEvil here, have you guys ever, like, known any other series that has had more than one reboot?
Rayman 2.
Well, Rayman 2 is just a whole bunch of ports. It never got the proper remaster treatment like, well, this game or the Insane Trilogy did.
Star Fox 64.
Well, that's...
Zero doesn't count, damn it.
Alright, so, oh, look at... Wow.
Yeah.
Even HD couldn't fix his looks.
Nah.
Well, I think he was supposed to be intentionally ugly anyway.
Ugly? But, yeah. If you remember the tale of the original MediEvil, this here is Zarok. Necromancer Supreme, man. Well, he just hates all things good and jolly and, Galomir, so he's literally going to, pretty much wreak the powers of the night upon these foolish mortals.
Yep.
And thus a great war would be fought. Oh, I guess we're skipping that opening cutscene. Okay, so...
Which actually, yeah, I'll say that right now. I actually did skip the initial cutscene because, well, first of all, it's kind of like, it's sort of the same as the original, though, with new narration, but it's also because, well, don't take our word for it just yet, but we are considering doing a full playthrough of this remaster of MediEvil.
Which I would have no problems with, because I personally, even though I never beat the original, I still enjoy it quite a bit, and just to say right now, as of this point, I still don't have a PS4, so I obviously can't be the one to record it.
So after Zarok did his annual defogging of the realm, he puts his plan into action. And God, who thought it was a good idea to give him a goddamn spike on his chin?
I don't know. That's some new level kind of piercings there.
It's like, they just want to reinforce how evil he is. You want to make him look evil? Spikes everywhere.
And time to possess the townsfolk.
Once again.
Although I will say, just from a visual standpoint, I do kind of like how everything looks here compared to the remake on the PSP. Like here, they actually do kind of look on par to how they looked in the cinematics of the first game, except, you know, less jank.
Right.
Which is appreciated. I mean, hell, this man doesn't clip his hand through his dress anymore.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm also talking about, like, the villagers here as well.
Oh, not even her.
Even Little Red.
Jeez.
She's packing some serious wallop.
And yes, Hype doesn't have a PS4, but nonetheless, he is very much excited to see this game get remastering.
Yeah, because honestly, you know, I make jokes about how, yes, we're totally not getting sick of yet another Devil May remake, but when it comes to remakes like this, I don't mind, because, you know, it highlights franchises that I think kind of deserve more attention. Like with this, Sega's actually doing it once again with House of the Dead coming out soon.
Oh, look at that main menu.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, between the two remakes, this one and the one on the PSP, this one definitely leans a lot more towards representing how the original PlayStation 1 game handled.
Yeah, this is by every definition the insane version of MediEvil.
And thus we have Daniel Fortescue's adventure
in MediEvil.
But this isn't the full game. What is this?
This is the short-lived demo that Sony has released after their oh-so-lovely state of play as of this past September.
As of recording.
And yes, this is probably the biggest highlight of that state of play, at least as far as we're concerned. You can look up how Kid Icarus and other people thought.
Well, there were a few indie games that I thought were neat, but other than that, yeah.
So, for those that are a little... For those that don't remember the old tale of Sir Daniel Fortescue, he was pretty much ahead of the king's army, and, well, legends say that he led the militia to defeat the evil Zarok, and he was the one who single-handedly destroyed his best minions. Though, here we see what really happened.
Yeah, he was the single-handed strike. He also was
the first one to go down.
Right in the eye.
He got killed immediately. So sure, he led the charge. He didn't lead it for very long, though.
But now that he's awake, he has a chance of redemption.
Get that cup.
Oh, first?
God, make yourself presentable.
Kind of a sad shame that some things just don't live on after death.
Actually, you know what? Super Gaming Brothers did bring up something interesting. Like, when he came back, one of his eyes came back. What's stopping the other eye from coming back?
Well, that was the one that got shot with the arrow.
I think.
Well, the other one decayed.
Oh, hey guys.
Ooh, I think this is the exact same audio from the original, just cleaned up.
It is.
Awesome.
Now, that being said, I will say right now, the weird thing about this remake is that there's some that they archive, and there's others that are completely new to this remaster.
So,
I will say it's kind of a neat rendition of the gargoyles here.
Oh yeah,
Like,
no, this beats the living shit out of what we had in Resurrection.
And I'll also say, like, I brought up the fact that these are, like, ripped straight from the PS1. They did a really good job, like, cleaning them up from the old disc, because they sound really crisp here.
Like, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the original developers of the game actually held on to the old raw audio and just, well, gave it to the new developers, Other Ocean, which is located right in Emeryville, far away from Cambridge.
just goes to show like what just a lack of compression can do for quality. Oh yeah. So what's happening here is that if you play the demo, you can unlock that helmet in the full game.
Yeah.
It's smack dab on atop his skull.
Purely cosmetic, and this is just me personally speaking. Even if I played this demo, I don't think I would want to wear his helmet in the full game, just because I don't want to hide that lovely mug.
Yeah. I want to ask though, like, if you do unlock the helmet from the demo and get into the game, do you have it right off the bat, or do you have to like equip it at a later point?
You can't equip it in the demo if that's what you're wondering. I'm not sure how it works in the full game because, well, obviously it's not even out yet as of the time of this recording.
Heck, I wouldn't even be surprised if maybe it'll just be right where James ran into it, right in the full game. It'll just be right over there in the corner.
Possibly.
But it's only if you play this
actually,
demo.
I think they've said that the helmet's only just going to be a thing in the demo, which, I mean, I think is kind of stupid considering the fact that it's a short-lived demo. It's literally going to be gone by the time the full game's out.
Yeah.
That is.
Though who knows? For all I know, they could add it in as DLC later.
Now, how far does this? How much of the game does this demo cover?
It covers Dan's crypt, and it also covers the graveyard.
Okay, so the
And of
first
course,
one.
let's never forget that if push comes to shove, Dan can always use his own arm as a weapon.
Got a star
And there's a
rune,
Devil Damn Boomerang on top of that.
our sword. Perfect.
The arm does not compare to the sword, which you can spin around Zelda style.
Yeah, so...
And never forget your mighty shield.
Shield. All those who chose to oppose the shield must yield.
And to cover this for people who haven't seen any of our other many videos on this series throughout all of its various
All
renditions.
2 of them.
All 2 of them, because we didn't cover the sequel, because the sequel sucks, apparently.
Well, it's not the matter that it sucks. It's just that, well, yeah. doesn't
It
really
got
fit
a
the
little
first
too.
game.
I would say it's just a matter of like it had a lot of good ideas. It just wasn't quite as engaging.
It got too big for its britches.
I actually was contemplating saying that.
That and it also changed a couple of elements to make them harder for arbitrary reasons.
Yeah, like the fountains actually despawning after you use them.
Ouch.
Which, considering how brutal these games can get, yeah, that kind of sucks.
Yeah, I imagine.
And speaking of bottles, like the life bottles that you pick up, just like in the first game, they're basically like the tanks in the Metroid games. Like every time you equip a bottle, it pretty much gives you like an extra life bar.
Pretty much.
Goodness.
And again, you're gonna need it because, well, there's certain elements of this game that I almost feel like it's next to impossible to avoid taking damage in these games.
Which is fair, and star runes are our keys, and yeah, so again, for those who had not caught up with our other videos, so Daniel's quest was not quite like your typical platformer. It was almost like a little bit of a mix between Castlevania and like Mario 64 almost.
Kind of, and I mean, it's not every day where you come across a game where your hero is a pitiful skeleton who's seeking redemption for his, well, previous failure.
Full of heart and half of jaw.
Pretty much.
I feel like that's a line from something.
Nice map. Nah, that's just me BSing around and...
Off to the graveyard?
Honestly, it does sound convincing enough to sound like a quote from a movie.
It should be. Just it could just be from this game. Do we get to visit the Hall of Heroes in this demo?
No, you don't.
Unfortunately, no. That's like as soon as I'm done with this level right here, it just takes you smack down to the pre-order the game now thing.
Nuts.
I assume you still get to it the same way, like defeat enough enemies to fill up the chalice, then collect said chalice.
I will also say that as much as I do miss some of the opening narrations from Resurrection, I do kind of appreciate that for this game and the loading screens, the text is almost about as witty as those narrations.
Yeah, from what I can gather, it seems like kind of in a similar vein to what Insane and Reignite did. They left the dialogue largely untouched.
Wow. I forgot about that.
Which is good, all things considered, though. They still added a couple of neat little things here and there. And I don't believe this was from the original game of Resurrection, but you pretty much have a full-on glossary of all the characters you meet up in the game, including this one character I never even knew existed until this very video.
Morton the Earthworm. Wait, wasn't this...
Oh yeah, he appears randomly in some of the cinematics of the first game.
Ah, okay. So he wasn't just something that popped right out of nowhere like Al-Salam from Resurrection, who thankfully is not nowhere anywhere in this fucking remake.
Oh, I like the concept art.
Yeah, but basically just going back to the Earthworm, if you look back, there are certain cinematics in the first game, where it's like, for example, the one where Dan's running from the giant beast, and as he's running, you see the worm just kind of popping out of his, like, eyeless socket, like, yammering at him.
Oh. But also, I dig the designs. It actually, you know what it is? Especially that with the zombie on the right, this super reminds me of, like, Maximo Ghosts to Glory's art direction.
It does feel an awful lot like that now that you mention it. In fact, I mean, there's a game that could use the remake treatment.
I would be down for that.
Or if not that, then the original Ghosts and Goblins trilogy. Imagine that in this style.
Yeah, in this day and age. But that being said, yeah, just going back to remakes, I know we touched upon it here and there, but just seeing it in full glory, like, they did a beautiful job just capturing that cartoony gothic aesthetic that the original game tried to do and just amped it up to a good level.
I will say, though, I think they kind of did their job a little too well, because on my PS4, considering all the gory and gothic
Whoa, Ragdoll, love it.
all the sweet gothic detail you see across this game kind of heats up my PS4 something fierce.
I was gonna say they did not hold back on the details. Also, just real quick, I am in love with this music.
Oh yeah, the first MediEvil has a really good soundtrack.
And they did a really stellar job of, like, upping that, like, eerie level to, like, full orchestration.
I am curious as to whether, like, how much of the soundtrack is pretty much straight-up remixes or something new, kind of like what Resurrection did, and if they even bothered to get back the original composer for it.
I know, that'd be so awesome. But yeah, it has such a wonderful, like... I wouldn't say Tim Burton. It would... The first song that comes to mind is anything from the Haunted Mansion, not the Haunted Mansion the ride, and not the actual, like, you know, the Grim Grinning Ghost song, but like all the gosh,
oh boy,
I don't remember there being a freaking zombie entourage in the original like that.
Yeah, well, nice to know there's some liberties.
I mean, granted there was, but there were a lot more spread out. Here they're just full front out the gate, ready to kick your skeleton butt.
Hey, happy birthday!
Maybe that was their sign to say, get ready, it's not going to be just quite like the original, which I'm fine with making a slightly new experience. What was I saying?
Yeah, there are certain elements that are definitely different from the original. Like, for example, you don't have to double tap the D-pad or left stick in order to run at your fullest. Though I will say the running speed could be a little faster.
Well, you know what, you brought that up, how about we go into that real quick? How would you say the game feels compared to the original, aside from what you just pointed out?
I mean, the game still has its jank moments, kind of like for example, when thrashing enemies. Not just yet, but anyway, there's still a bit of jank in that regard. But otherwise, movement is definitely a little better, and you do have a little more options. Like, I don't recall how convenient was it to switch from one weapon to another.
I think it was a matter of just having to pull up a menu, like, not a real-time menu, it paused everything, to pull up a menu and then switch items from there. How much, I don't recall, I didn't pay attention to see how they changed that for this game.
Well, for this game, you notice on the left, just below good old Dan's head up there, that you can actually swap between two weapons at any given time.
Oh, with the triangle
Okay,
button.
so it's basically like very quick free time. Yeah, I'd say that's a bit of an improvement, at least for keeping the flow going.
Definitely.
And then I noticed you have that quick select, but then there was also a menu you brought up earlier that showed all of your inventory on the bottoms of the screen.
Well, that's like the one big carryover from the original game, and in fact, that's how you had to
Nice.
swap between all your weapons. And yay, we got our second bottle.
Can you ever lose your bottles?
You don't lose bottles, but they will become empty, as you take damage, obviously. And you have to go to the fountains to refill them.
Okay. And then
Go ahead.
No, you first.
No, all I was gonna say is that, like, again, with this game, just be prepared for an ass beating if it ever does happen, because the enemies, if they talk about you like that, can whittle down your ooze up there, something fierce.
Yeah, they definitely seem like they pack more of a punch than they do in the original.
Classic difficulties. And yeah, other than that, unfortunately, I don't really have a lot else to say, just because I didn't grow up with this game. I feel like if we ever do this, it'll be you and Hype who have the most to say about it.
Well, more so Hype, because I will say that as far as my own experiences with MediEvil, I primarily got my start with it with the when the PlayStation Store had its whole PlayStation Classics and all that, and that's pretty much where I got my first full experience with it.
Right. Which the fact that games like this were nowhere to be seen on the PlayStation Classic still shows that was a huge waste of time.
Well, again, it could just be a matter that this game's development was the reason why they thought, why waste the resources?
Yeah.
Though, granted, there's like several other games they could have easily put on there to make it a much better console than it were, and they just mostly put in a whole bunch of I wouldn't say outright shovelware, but like C-list games.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I could think of
who was asking for Destruction Derby or Siphon Filter?
Yeah.
I mean, granted, I will say it was thanks to the PS Classic I actually got a taste of Intelligent Cube, and, well, that game is just a marvel in and of itself.
It's that incredibly intense soundtrack.
The unnecessarily grandiose soundtrack.
Which, I swear, that kind of soundtrack would be more fitting in a game of this generation. Kind of like with this game here.
I was gonna say, like, no, when you listen to some of that music, it almost sounds like it'd be for this game.
Exactly.
It does. Thinking back on it did sound like surprisingly high quality for a PlayStation 1.
Munch on the gold. I want all of them.
Nom, nom.
I do kind of like how the shopkeepers actually do just outright eat your gold. Like, that's what they dine on.
Oh my gosh, you're right.
And in exchange, they actually give you some goods.
Sweetness. But yeah, no, I can see this as a pretty interesting challenge. I especially feel like now just to get this out of the way, in a post Dark Souls gaming world, I feel like a game like this would definitely get a lot more. I feel like a game like this would get a lot more momentum.
Definitely.
Like the audience is more there.
This game can almost feel like Dark Souls-esque at times.
You know what? Watch that be the case where it's like we've had people look at these remakes say like, oh, Crash is like Dark Souls, or oh, Spyro is like Dark Souls. Watch this be the one game that people don't want to compare to Dark Souls, or don't.
If they do, that'll be fucking shocked.
I guess that's that.
Tread softly. Zarek awaits beyond these gates. The master meets with the demon from the mausoleum.
Oh, the glass one.
Yep.
Of purest evil.
Well,
Forgotten nobodies would be wise to make themselves scarce.
Right, no, nobody.
Like that kind of dialogue just goes to show what really fits with MediEvil, and yeah, they just there you go. That's how it ends.
Just
pre-order or exit.
get your shit and get out.
Talk about lame, but
I would have, if it was me, I would have at least changed it up a little bit where once you exit through that door, they play one last big trailer cinematic showing off the whole game just to remind you about what you may be pre-ordering, kind of a thing, you know?
That would make the most sense, yeah, but that's just how it ends, and we've got until near the end of October, right around Halloween time, before this game comes out.
Right.
Let's just hope that Luigi's Mansion 3 doesn't come around and murder any chance of its being successful.
I think it depends on how long the release date is between it and Luigi's Mansion.
I think
3.
at most it's a week difference.
Okay, so it'll have a week to hit its stride before Luigi just sucks up poor Dan and the Poltergeist.
Which, I mean, it's not like they're on different consoles as it is, so it's not like one would tank sales of the other. If this game was the only one, if this game was only on Switch, then yeah, it'd probably be in serious trouble. But there's definitely a huge Sony audience for it.
Which is fair. And, I mean, considering that this is like one of the only other big Sony things that are really worth looking into right now, beyond, what was that one game again? The one where they killed off the gay love interest, like, right on the trailer before the game was even out.
Oh, you mean Last of Us?
Like, what? Yeah, that's pretty much the joke. Like, what the fuck? That was a good idea. Anyway, terribly sorry, ladies and gentlemen. That's it for our look at on the PS4 short-lived demo of MediEvil, and well, hope you all enjoyed it, and maybe hope you guys get the game for yourselves and enjoy it, despite the jank. So yeah, till next time, guys.
See ya.
Some people say it's better to use a magic sword than a magic sword, but I say to you that is rubbish!